Bump and Run with Bernie and Dahlby. Presented by Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Now, here's Brett Bernheisel and Steve Dahlby.
Well, here we are. And who would have thought a sign company took Labor Day off, the Labor Day weekend off? So, I mean, these guys have been so good lately for us, but this week they had the weekend off, so I have no sign. So instead of holding up the number 9 sign, which I said I was going to do after show 6 and just turn it around, I think we'll just look at Dahlby's clock behind his left shoulder, and I think that says it all. It's 9 o'clock there. This is show 9. Welcome to show 9, Dahlby.
And it'll stay 9 o'clock for a little while. And we're in Bernie's, half of us are in Bernie's bunker. Is that what that says? Bernie's bunker. That was Bernie's, the surprise.
Yeah, it's this room has really come together. I mean, with the dog, with the pug on the bike, me caddying when I was, I don't know, 10 pounds lighter, heavier. I don't know what I was back then. And now my new sign with this room is really starting to come together, and I'm damn proud of it, to be honest with you. The Tour Championship, Dahlby, happened this week, and I know Schubert is chomping at the bit to talk about this. But Patrick Cantlay won the Tour Championship and $15 million, which is more money than he's made in his entire career, which was something like 14-4, 14-6, something like that. Are you satisfied with the way this all finished? Even though a couple weeks ago when you and I had a discussion about, I was on Rahm's side, and a lot of players are on Rahm's side, but you were okay with the way this was. Are you still satisfied with how the Tour Championship ended this week?
Yeah. I mean, I had picked Jon Rahm last week, so I had hoped that he'd maybe be a shot better or 2 shots better. And but yeah, I think the format was set out. The PGA Tour set out the format, and then it was out there. This is how they do it. Now we can go revisit how they do it, and I do agree, Bernie. There are a lot of people that are not happy with the fact that maybe Cantlay didn't. If you went by score of the tournament, he didn't win this week. But in some ways, though, talk about like. Finau, and they talked about, well, if you even talked about, well, if you did good in 1 and you did good in 2, shouldn't you be rewarded for 3? Well, I think this is what they're trying to do by giving the advantage. And so, yeah, I'm satisfied. I think it was fine. I watched yesterday. I thought it was good drama. There were a lot of different stories yesterday. If you were really into it, there was Kevin Na and Justin Thomas kind of almost playing match play for a little more money, and then there were Cantlay and Rahm, and then we didn't get to see it very much. Paul Azinger talked about how it was a terrible thing to do, but Joaquin Newman flew around the golf course in an hour and 56 minutes or whatever it was. I thought it was great. And again, I might take my wife's advice, and when I watch NBC, just go to mute. Too much Paul Azinger for me. You like him?
Didn't I say this to you like 3 years ago when we were on a live radio station? Didn't I tell you that? And then you're like, no, he's okay. Now you've changed your tune because of your wife?
No, I've changed my tune and I can't remember that, but I've changed my tune on him. Yeah, I have definitely changed my tune. Just sometimes silence is a good thing, and not everything has to be negative or an attempt at a joke. I think David Faraday does a great job, and he is funny, just with his sort of snide remarks. But I think, is a little more positive about things, and he's not trying to be funny. He's just funny.
And Azinger's not. I mean, I agree with you 100%. Azinger's not. And you're right. I mean, a good friend of the program, Adam Blanker, can't stand Paul Azinger, and he also can't stand Justin Leonard. And I couldn't disagree. When we played in our Tuesday match last week, we talked about it. And I'm not – these guys had great careers as players. But it's a different thing as your announcer. I mean, Justin Leonard is great at when he knows what's already happened. He already knows that Matsuyama jammed it in there 2 feet away, or whoever made a putt from 57 feet. That if TV is going to show somebody not in contention with a 57 or 60 footer, it's going in. We've all watched enough golf on television to know they're not going to show a random guy 8 shots out of the lead unless it's Tiger or whoever it might be make a putt. So watching golf rehearsed and be able to announce it is pretty simple, but yet he doesn't do it very well. I mean, he doesn't even do it very well. There's no like what's going in. There's no you just know what's going in. But going back to your point earlier, if they would have played stroke play, if all 30 guys would have teed off this week at East Lake at a level playing field, and Schubert and I were talking about this at the beginning before you came on during the pre-show. Rahm and Na would have gone to a playoff. Xander Schauffele would have finished third at 12. So Rahm and Na would have been 14 under. Xander was 12. And then you would have had Cantley and Thomas finish at 11 under par. So to Rahm's point, and I know he's still talking about it, he should be right now, or yesterday or whatever it might have been, in a playoff with Kevin Na to win the Tour Championship, yet he starts 2 shots behind and finishes second. So that's and I get the scoring. You're right. They've told you at the beginning of the year, this is the way it's going to be. This is the way it's going to be. This is the way it's going to be. But take, for your example, who wins the Super Bowl? It's the team that wins the last game. But if you spotted a team 3 points, 7 points, 4 points, or whatever, it's a different finish. And I think that's kind of what Rahm is saying right now. And I agree with him. I really do. That if the 30 guys get to the Tour Championship, start them off all at even and go from there.
Yeah, and again, I think this is something that the Tour is going to look at, but then there's the other side of the coin, and I think even you were talking about this a couple weeks ago with like, well, if you win the first one, you play good in the second one, shouldn't you be up there for the third one? Well, you can't have it both ways, and yeah, you talk about you got to win the last game to be the champion. In some other sports, there is an advantage. And so like this, I would say that if you look at the first two the first 2 playoff events as kind of qualifying you to get to the Tour Championship, we can look at this way. You got 125, you're going to 70, you're going to 30. So you're playing those tournaments to kind of qualify. Well, if you watch a Formula One race, okay, I get up in the morning and I watch Formula One now. Okay, my younger son is into it. Wow. He's going to be an engineer someday, so he's into the car. So now all of a sudden, I got to get up at 5 a.m. on Saturday to watch qualifying, and then I watch the race on Sunday. What happens though, as they qualify, during the race, the guy that qualifies first gets a little head start. Second gets the next one. Third gets the next one. Fourth gets the next one. It's not like NASCAR where they're right together. But, you do, if you're qualifying something, well, then there's that little bit of bump. Patrick Cantley had the best qualifying up to date. So he got the little bit of the advantage coming in. And it was, like I said, it's set up. If the Tour wants to change it, so be it. I think it's hard for the PGA Tour. They want to have this thing be really exciting. I think a lot of people, maybe you included, maybe Shu included, don't think it as exciting as it could be. If we have to find a different way, that's fine. But this year it was set up. Everybody knew, so it was just fine for me.
Shu, what are your thoughts? I mean, I know that you talked about. What are your thoughts of this? And you can hit the unmute button if you want.
Yes, and as our technical person, sound is a part of this thing. Yes. Oh, okay. And then he goes away.
That happens. You know what? I mean,
it does happen.
This isn't a tape. I mean, we're doing this live. Whether you're going to watch it on YouTube and you're going to see that it's taped, but we're doing this show live. But going back to that. And the tournament had a lot of drama. It had a lot of drama, But the only problem was it had a lot of drama with two players because going into Sunday, I mean, it was only two guys that could win the tournament unless, they both shit the bed and shot a gazillion. Oh, there's Shu, your back. Now, what are your thoughts, Shu?
There's a lot of buttons. Can you hear me now? There's a lot of buttons
Yes, of course.
that I have
There you
to
go.
push to make all this work, and I hit the wrong one. First of all, what I was saying was, Dahlby, as a fellow Formula One fan, love the reference there on the show. I get up early as well to watch both of those things. Listen, we were talking about this, Bernie, in the pre-show, and I didn't get a chance to say this to Dahlby, and so I'll say it here. Dahlby, you are correct in that the tour has set the rules up the way that they're set up, and everyone has to play by the way the rules are. I think the issue that the tour is going to find themselves in is this is now the third year we've operated with these rules, in which when you get to the final event, there's this score bonus that gets added that you start with, this advantage that you have. And so it is a small sample size of 3, but in 2 of the 3, the last 2 in particular, the person who has walked into the Tour Championship with that top advantage has won. And you may say, yes, they deserve that advantage. They deserve that because of the way they played the previous 2 weeks. But what's going to happen, I think, is if we go 5, 6, 7 more years where that's the case, then people aren't going to tune into the Tour Championship because it's going to become a formality. It's going to become, oh, that guy just has the lead, they're going to win. And instead, people are just going to watch the first 2 tournaments, and you're going to see this massive drop-off. Because what the Tour wants is they want drama, they want excitement, they want that last tournament of the year to be that thing that everybody has to tune in for. Well, if it's a formality where everybody knows who's going to win because whoever has the advantage is going to win, then it kind of works against you. And that's the fear I have. Again, it is a small sample size of 3 seasons, but that is the concern that I have. If 5, 6 years from now, it is always the person who has the advantage wins, then who cares about the Tour Championship at that point? As a fan, not as the players. Of course the players care, but as a fan.
Yeah, and Shu, I think I agree with that. I think the hard part too, when you look at it there, what does the fan want? It's the true golf fans that are watching this yesterday, because college football started on Saturday, and I'm, the casual sports fan has probably now changed their interest to what's going on there, and obviously the tour wants to get this done before the start of NFL football. But you do run into that. So yeah, do I agree that? And I'm seeing it. I can see that people aren't happy with this. So yeah, maybe you experiment. Maybe the guy only gets a 1-shot lead. Maybe it's just enough to qualify for it, and we just go play. It's it's something that they can look at. But as it was this year, I just feel like okay, they knew what was going on.
So, I guess my whole theory to this is that, yeah, and I'm going to reiterate it again. You even said earlier, Steve, this is what the PGA Tour came up with. This is the way it's going to be. Everybody knew about it when they signed up. This is the 10, 8, 6, 7, whatever it might be. The last guy's at even par, 10 back, who basically has 0 chance of winning. 0. I mean, right. You're not passing 30 guys and being 10 shots back. So. And to your point, Shu, I agree totally with you. I watched the Tour Championship this weekend, but not as much as I watched the first 2. So you are 100% correct on your point about that.
Right. When you watch the first 2, there is something at stake that feels massive, right? It's, we're cutting this down to 70. We're cutting this down to 35, right? There is a line that you have to get to. And then it gets to the Tour Championship, and then all of a sudden it's, you're handed a 4-shot lead. And I would love somebody to run the statistics on this, because I would love to know how often somebody has blown a 4-shot lead after 2 rounds. Because what was Cantley up after 2 rounds? I'd have to go back and look. But how often does that happen, right? Are we playing into the statistics of we are going to see something very unlikely? It's very unlikely that he is going to blow a 4-shot lead over the course of 2 days. What did he go into yesterday with? Sunday. Was he up 4 strokes? He had a 4-shot lead going into Sunday? How often does that lead get blown? Because you're basically handing a player that advantage, and they've earned it. They've played well enough to get that advantage. But again, at what point does the casual golf fan go, you know what? Kind of know what's going to happen here. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to go to something else. That's the problem, and that's the risk they run under this formula. Maybe it goes down to only a 2-shot lead. Maybe you only get a 2-shot advantage.
Well, no,
Yeah,
hold on. They started the week with a 2-shot advantage. He just increased it to 4. Now, to your point about how often does somebody blow a 4-shot lead? First of all, there's only 30 players, okay, and these are the 30 best players of this particular season, and probably the top 60, 70 in the world, or everybody was in that number. So it's not like a random player who's battling for his tour card had the lead going into the final round. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's won 3 times this year. Now he's won 4. First time since I don't know how long. Tiger probably. I don't know the number in front of me. But you're talking about, a guy that's in the top 3, top 4 in the world that has a 4-shot lead. I agree with you. I agree, Shu, that the casual golf fan or even the big golf fan like myself didn't watch it as intensely as I normally would, because in my mind I thought, Cantlay was going to win. I knew it was a 2-man race. So I basically, to be honest with you, I turned it on about 13 and just watched it from 13 to 18. And that's what I did, because I knew that it was only 2 guys and I wasn't worried about anybody else winning the golf tournament. Dahlby, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, and I did I'm going to correct you guys. It was a 2-shot lead on going into Sunday. It was not a 4-shot lead. It was a 2-shot lead. But there were, you look at that, they were also, Cantlay's 5 shots, Rahm's 4 shots ahead of the rest of the field. So that advantage did play. Maybe you come up with maybe you come up with something where, okay, you get 30 guys there, you play 2 days and you cut half, and then you play one more day and you cut to 5, and then you have a shootout, or 6 and you have a shootout the last day. Maybe that's more exciting. I'm sure the tour is going to look at it. I know they're reading what I'm reading about what people think about it, and I might be on the wrong side of the what people think. I'm going to stick with what I think. I think it was fine, given where it was set up. But yeah, we can change it. There's nothing that says we can't change.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad per se. I think it is on a trajectory to become bad. There is a path that I see in which it becomes not good for the game, right? I think right now it's fine, but if we have another 5 seasons where whoever is leading after these 2 events and gets that advantage ultimately ends up winning every time. The example we've used on this show so many times is the Super Bowl, right? If every time the team with the best record going into the Super Bowl was spotted a 7-point advantage, they were given 1 touchdown, and they won 10 straight Super Bowls. The team with the advantage won 10 straight Super Bowls. Are you watching the Super Bowl? You know who's going to win. You know how it's going to go. And I think that, for a sport like golf, you can't give people a reason to turn the channel. You can't do it. And this, I think, could lead down a path if you're giving people a reason to turn a channel where they're going to go, oh, we already know who's going to win.
I can't disagree with you. I mean, I totally can't disagree. That's why mostly this week I watched the Korn Ferry Tour. I mean, I told you last week that I was going to watch the Korn Ferry Tour, and I watched it this week. And there was so much drama and so much hype, emotion, and sadness and things like that. I know, and Dahlby's talked about this before, his buddy, his friend Taylor Montgomery. My God, I mean, you want to talk about bad luck? I mean, here's a guy that finishes 26th on the regular season Korn Ferry Tour money list, point list, okay? Now goes into the playoffs and finishes 26th again when only 25 players get their cards. Now, we had Monday Q Info on, a month and a half ago, and one of his best feel-good stories is Justin Lauer, who was the last guy to get his card, and I don't know exactly how long ago, but his brother and father died in a car accident, and this guy's life went into complete shambles. And he didn't play for a while. Now he's back. He came back, and he was the guy that got the 25th card. And I thought one of the coolest interviews I've seen in a long time. And the emotion, Steve, and it, you've been there, you've seen it, when a guy finally achieves his goal of making it to the PGA Tour. And, his ranking sucks at 50 or 49 or whatever it might be as far as priority list, but he got his card. And in his speech, which was and go watch it. Go watch Justin Lauer get his card on the PGA Tour. He was crying, and he called out Taylor Montgomery because last year Justin Lauer finished 26th. He was that guy, and he said, Taylor, I've been there. You're a great player. Please keep going. Good things are ahead of you. And that's the emotion, and that's why, like I told everybody, I watched the KFT this week because I thought, to me, as you said last week, Dahlby, it's more of a life-changing moment. And now this guy has his card, and unfortunately for a guy that you know, Taylor Montgomery, he's going to have to live the next 6 months or whatever it might be till the Korn Ferry Tour starts, thinking about what one shot, think about it, one shot during the regular season or one shot or one putt missed in the playoffs cost him getting his card.
Well, and also, and you know, with Justin Lauer, he shot 3 under his last 9 holes. He had shot 2 over his front 9, and he was projected, I think, to be in that top 25. He shot 71 the last day, so I'm assuming he might have fell back. He tied 15th, but he had to go out and shoot 3 under par his last 9 holes. Now for Taylor, unfortunately, there's 2 things obviously Taylor was 26th regular season, which was a long season, basically a 2-year season, and then 26th in this deal. But there's 2 things to consider with Taylor, which you talk about one shot. He chose to play in the U.S. Open. He qualified for the U.S. Open. He chose to play in the U.S. Open. He made the cut in the U.S. Open. He didn't finish great. He took 40th, 50th in the U.S. Open. But there was another tournament. There was a Korn Ferry tournament going on the same week. And the prior year, he had actually played well in that tournament. And sometimes, you know, there's guys that play well on certain golf courses. So, and I don't fault him for playing in the U.S. Open. He may never have that chance again. So I think anybody, if you get the chance to play in the U.S. Open, if you qualify for U.S. Open, you go play in the U.S. Open. But, you know, that could have changed the regular season situation. And then in the playoffs, he was actually in good shape. He shot 70 the first round of the last playoff event here, the Tour Championship for the Korn Ferry. He shoots 1 over or something like that the first 9 holes. Basically, he's just got to play par golf his last 9 holes to make the cut and secure his card. He goes par, and then all hell breaks loose. He shot 48 his last 9 holes. And you know, that's what he's got to live with and think about and you know, try to figure out why that happened at that time. I think, you know, obviously, Bernie, you've been out there when the nerves just go crazy and weird stuff happens, but you feel bad, and it shows the class of this kid, you know, a 32-year-old from Ohio who played at Malone University. That's an NAIA school. In the middle of Ohio somewhere. I've played against them when I played college golf. But it's pretty cool that he said something about Taylor.
Yeah, it was a really, and if you get a chance, just go ahead and download it, YouTube it or whatever, and watch it. Another great story for me, which, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do the Reader's Digest version of it here, is Trey Mullenix, who had his card for a few years in the PGA Tour, lost his card, and I'm going to tell you why in a second, but ended up finishing second this week at the Tour Championship, so now he's back on the PGA Tour. But it was about 2 or 3 years ago. He's playing at Colonial and playing in the Pro-Am, and they're on the 9th hole, and he hits, you know, he's got 4 amateurs, hits his drive, got to go pee. So he goes to go pee. Comes out, he signs a few autographs, heads down the fairway, meets his caddy up there. He sees 3 amateurs. You know, he's like, where's the other guy? He's over there somewhere, but he said he was going to hit it by the green and go ahead and pick it up. Well, anyway, that's not what happened. 30 seconds later, Trey Mullenix is now on the ground. He has been hit by the 4th amateur. Okay.
Oh.
On the ground, can't remember. Yeah, on the ground. Medics come out. They take him to the hospital. The doctors tell him no internal bleeding. You're concussed. He's like, okay, fine. Tees up in the tournament. Colonial shoots 67. I think he shot 67, 69. Let's go with that. When he finished the second round after shooting 69 or the 67, he turned to his caddy and said, "Did we make the cut?" And his caddy went, "Yeah, we've made the cut by 7." And that was the start of something that prolonged. And the next tournament after that he played in, he took a little time off. Next tournament he played in was Canada and his dad was caddying for him. And he'd have let's just say 150 to the flag, and he'd be hitting irons 130, 135, or 165. He had lost his brain. Now was taken over from this injury, and he was like 100th on the FedEx Cup. Then he was 115. Then he was 120. Then he ended up losing his card. But the tour gave him a medical exemption the following year for 2 tournaments, and he had to make, I'm going to guess, 115 points. So he played at the Farmers Tour at Torrey Pines, finished like 40th, had to come to Phoenix, missed the cut, and he lost his card. So that's a pretty cool story that he regained his status today. The reason I want to talk about this, Steve, and I want to ask you about this, should the PGA Tour, and if you don't want to answer this, that's completely fine, should the PGA Tour have a concussion protocol for stuff like this? Because this is exactly what he said. I'm just going to read it word for word. "I didn't do anything to cause it to myself. So that's the thing I struggle with the most. Why am I having to suffer the consequences?" And what he's trying to say is, why can't the tour extend him a longer period of time because of something that wasn't his fault, that he didn't create, and he loses his job, basically?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say that, could the PGA Tour look at a concussion protocol? Certainly they could. That's a great question. Obviously, having a kid that played high school football, and then watching college football, NFL football, obviously concussions are so important to take care of, that we've learned so much about injuries to the brain. And it's even changed the game, where, you look at a guy like Jim McMahon, who, when he played, Jim loves to play golf, but you can watch him play some games or get up after getting hit where the eyes are just glazed and something wasn't right. So is it important? Of course it's important. What do you know what the tour had to say about it in terms of concussion protocol, or no? I can't see that there would be. I can't say that there would be anything.
Looking into it. That's what they say. Looking into it.
Yeah.
But that was 3 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I agree with Mullenix is right. It's something that, you remember when Ernie Els was playing in a Pro-Am years ago and he got hit by a girl in the head and he suffered the same kind of thing. There's got to be a point where, and I'll come out and say it. I'm not going to mention names, but I know there's players that have been hurt on the PGA Tour that have milked the situation as far as their medical extensions, because they get paid for being on that list. And I think the main guy I'm talking. I don't even care. David Bergagna. He milked the system forever because he could get in the tournament, but he would sign up and then at the last minute would draw because he was getting financial support from the PGA Tour. But in something like this, where Mullenix, he got hit by an amateur golfer in a Pro-Am event, trying to help the tournament itself, for their charities and things like that. The tour, in my opinion, and this is my opinion only, and I'll stand behind it 100%, is that they should have done something for him. 2 events the next following. He tried to play through not being able to fucking see the ball. He even said, he goes, I had trouble seeing it. And he went through the year because he wanted to keep his job. So they give him, he gets the 2 extra starts next year, loses the job, and they're basically like, all right, kick you to the curb, and you're all done.
Yeah, I would say though, if you can't see the ball and something's a little fuzzy, somebody needed to tell him, hey, to take some time off. So I'm not saying that the tour shouldn't have protocol, but Jesus Christ, you need to be aware of what's going on with your game and your body. So I think, someone, if it wasn't him, someone on his team. I get the going to play hurt and whatever, but I mean, if you can't see the golf ball, maybe it's time to and obviously everybody on the tour knows about the minor medicals, the major medicals. So, that's some of that's on him. Some of that's on him for not shutting it down earlier. And that might be harsh, but that's if you're hurt, shut it down. But I'm glad he's back, and I'm glad he got through this thing, and that's a touching story. Does the tour? Yeah, I guess the tour should, maybe they should do something. But they're also, so what number event did he finally stop playing? Like, was it towards the end?
Yeah, he even made it all the way to Barbasol.
Colonial's early though. Colonial's May, right?
Colonial, and then the next tournament he played was Canada, and then
so I'm just saying Colonial. But Colonial's early, so if you don't know if you made the cut, maybe, and you've got hit in the head, maybe you should think about getting a concussion test on your own. They do have insurance out there, so go have a test, and then if he would have shut it down at the proper time, he would have had more tournaments. And I know this sounds harsh, but I'm just saying this is the other side of the coin on that. That somebody should have helped him. You talk about milking the system. Someone should have just helped him use what's out there properly. Agent, caddy, father, somebody.
All right. Yeah. I mean, okay. I get your point. I really do. But I think
there's a lot of tournaments in June, July, and August. That's,
yeah. I
mean, that's 12 to whatever, it's 12 events, maybe more. That might have helped him. He's had some good years. I mean, 2017, he played 28 events, just missed it, 137. Then the next year in 18, he made 1.1. He finished 102nd on the FedEx list. The next year didn't go as well. He finished 157th, but he can play. There's no question. He got a second in 18, but it's just, was it 19 the year that he tried to play through?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, my whole thinking. How about this? What if I say this?
But he played in. So hang on. So he played in 25 events, and let's say he played 12 of those after he was concussed, and they gave him 2 more the next year. That's 14 events, and given the pretty good play in 17 and 18, if he gets things better, which is what a major medical's for, and as you said, you are getting. You're able to collect some money each month, so you can live, and you can live well on the money that they give you. So that would have been the proper decision, concussion protocol probably, but players need to make good decisions too.
In my opinion, I just think I think the PGA Tour, and I mean, even when he asked his caddy, "Do we make the cut?" and the caddy's like, "Yeah, by 7." I'm sure that wasn't the only time. Like, I'm sure his caddy might have said something to somebody. The PGA Tour probably should have. And this is, and I know you can't step across the boundary that I can, but I think the PGA Tour should have stepped in themselves and taken a deeper, harder look at this. Just me saying, and I know you can't say much, so we're going to move on. But in my opinion, the PGA Tour should have stepped in, noticed something, had him checked out, whatever. I get it's on him. He can say whatever he wants. I'm fine. I'm going to play. But the PGA Tour should have stepped in and helped him, not so much financially, but helped him go to the right neurologist or whoever it might have been and get it looked at. Did you see that Bryson DeChambeau got his ball stolen during the Tour Championship. Did you see that moment?
I heard that. I didn't see it. I heard somebody took his golf ball.
So
Did they run away with it?
And they ran away with it. And this is the crazy thing about it. Nobody saw it except for ShotLink. ShotLink has the ability, and if you watch PGAtour.com or whatever, you can watch each player where they hit the tee shot, where they hit their second shot, and it tells you, 243 to the flag or whatever it might be. They were able to get video of the person stealing his ball to where Bryson was able to, had a rules official come out, was able to get a new ball out of the bag and drop it, to where if nobody saw it in real life or whatever, and I'm sure somebody probably did, but anyway, ShotLink knew exactly where it was. If nobody if ShotLink wouldn't have seen it or nobody would have saw it, he would have had to go back to the tee, which to me is quite funny.
How far offline was it?
It was offline. It was we've all played golf courses that have cart paths. It was left of the cart path on a left hand, so he hit a big hook. He hits it all over the place, but it was left of the cart path, and somebody just decided, you know what, I'm going to grab Bryson's ball and have a nice day with it.
So I have a question.
That's funny.
Uh-oh.
I have a question.
Yes.
So they were able to, via the shot trace, find where the ball went, right?
Yes.
Does he get to you drop where the ball was stolen from?
Yes.
Yes.
So he gets to return to the scene of the crime, and he gets to drop there.
No penalty.
Yeah.
No penalty. Just a free drop, continue play. Okay, I didn't know how that worked. Yeah. I just was curious.
And he knocked it on the green from there. I think it was 18, and he knocked it on the green. I think probably made birdie too, but if not, he's back to the tee, trying to make 6 or 7.
How does he know that the ball was stolen? I'm just thinking about this out loud. He hits a terrible drive, just brutal. He doesn't know where it lands, so he goes. Somebody must have seen something, right? Okay.
Somebody must have seen it and been like, "Hey, that Chris Schubert, that dude over there, took Bryson's ball and ran off with it." And then they had to figure out exactly where it was. And I think that's where the more I think about it, that's where ShotLink came in and decided, oh, it was right over here. So that he dropped there. But that's why you're on the thing. So here's another thing, Dahlby. So we're going to talk about the Solheim Cup here in a second. Nelly Korda had a putt the other day that hung on the side of the hole, and her opponent immediately picked it up and threw it back to her. Like, your next putt's good. But actually, the rules of golf saying that the ball, she had ample time because it was hanging over the lip to walk up, the 10 seconds or whatever it might be, that the rule, and have an opportunity to wait to see if it falls in. But since her opponent picked it up without Nelly walking up, they credited her with the putt going in. That's the first time I've ever heard that in my life.
And then the team, the U.S. team, I think the match might have been tied at that point. They win the hole to go one up, and they end up winning the match. And it was late in the match when this happened. So it was a interesting rule decision. I think it probably was the correct decision. However, Bernie, you said it was hanging on the edge. Apparently it was, but it wasn't. And you've seen it. You kind of know sometimes that the thing has a chance to go in. This one didn't have a chance to go in, and so it was bad. And there was even some criticism from people that on the next hole that Nelly and her partner should have just given them the hole to just go back, and then they didn't. They played on, and they actually got criticism for that. I think they didn't have anything to do. They weren't like, hey, you got to wait till let's see if this can go in. This was the rules official just jumping in, and maybe the rules official almost quick-stepping things.
So correct me on the date here, but there was a President's Cup a while ago in which there was a putt. Jason Day and Louis Oosthuizen were playing together, and they were playing against Jordan Spieth. And Louis had a putt just off the fringe to win the hole, and he hit it past the hole. And Jordan Spieth, while the ball was still moving, went to pick it up and give it to Louis. Well, he touched a moving ball, and they disqualified Jordan from the hole, and that let Day and Oosthuizen win the hole. And on the next hole, they gave the hole to Spieth, and I forget who he was playing with, and I forget the year in which the President's Cup was played this way, but I remember this exact kind of scenario playing out. Ball went 20 feet past the hole, but Spieth touched a moving ball, and so they disqualified him from the hole, and they lost the hole because of it.
I remember that. Yeah, you know what? And I didn't remember it until you just brought it up. Yeah, that Louis had a putt he had to make it to maybe have the hole or something like that. So when it went past, Jordan didn't just here, I'll stop it. He stopped it with his putter and threw it right back at him. I remember the whole thing.
Yeah, and it was because the crowd, it was in the United States, and the crowd was kind of egging on the ball, and they were kind of taunting, and so Spieth wanted to stop the crowd. He's trying to be respectful, and so he picked up the ball, and it caused a whole kerfuffle, and they had rules officials, and Tiger Woods was out there because he was the captain at the time.
What was that word?
A kerfuffle.
I like that word.
Don't ask me how to spell it. I wasn't good at the spelling bee. I would butcher the spelling.
Is it E-L or L-E? E-L or L-E?
Kerfuffle would be L-E. Yeah.
Right. Hey, while we have you on right now, so let's
Okay.
It's time for Who You Got, sponsored by our good friends at Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Last week, Dahlby led off with Rahm, who I liked. Schubert wanted Rahm.
Everybody wanted Rahm. Yeah.
I wanted Rahm. So Dahlby had Rahm. Schubert went off the board. I mean, he went off the charts here and picked the 26-1 long shot in Justin Thomas, who finished fourth. Now, if he would have finished third, that's a very, if he would have finished third, we would have had what they call in the dog track terms, Dahlby, back in your day when you were younger.
Love the dog track.
We would have had the trifecta because you basically just said, here, Bernie, take Cantley. So with that win and 4 times the points this week because it was the Tour Championship.
Excuse me? That was not discussed ahead of time. That's ridiculous.
I'm just kidding. I got 36 points. No, I'm just kidding you. But I do get 6. So we have a couple of weeks off with no Who You Got. We'll fill it in with something else next week, maybe some kind of movie or trivia, something like that. But after right now, the standings are myself with 11 points. Dahlby now has 9 with his 2 points. And Shu, you've increased from your Kevin Kisner win. 6 + 1 is 7. So it's 11-9-7 heading into the break before we start the 2021-22 season. So
that means you win.
You got work
to
do, Shu.
No, you win this season. The season's over. You won. This.
Yeah.
It's abbreviated. It's shortened, but you win this season, and
it was our playoffs.
It was our playoffs, and imagine that. Imagine the first time we do this, picking the winner of the tournament and losing. I picked the winner of a tournament, and I lost to you guys. I finished in third. Got to do some soul searching on that one.
So you guys decided this is we're starting over from scratch.
Yeah, new season, new season, new Who You Got. You have one Who You Got victory.
So I'm the 2021 Who You Got champion.
Yes, you can make another sign. Talk to the sign company and get them to make another sign for you that you can put back there that says 2021 Who You Got champion.
How about them not working on Labor Day weekend?
The sign company? Well, we had a sign though. They knew we had the sign. We were good.
All right,
hey, Bernie,
Shu, you're the best. Love you, man.
But hang on, Shu. Hang on.
Oh, okay,
now,
I'm still here.
Uh-oh.
When does Stricker make his picks for the Ryder Cup? Before we get to Solheim.
Well, seeing as the Ryder Cup is in like 2 weeks, it's got to be pretty soon, right?
And the interesting thing now is Brooks Koepka is going to get an MRI, or did he get it? He already did. He's out.
I don't know if he get. I mean, he's got to be out. There's no way.
So he's
this guy's a walking. He's a walking Band-Aid.
Yeah.
He's worse than Jason Day, and I love Jason Day. He's my favorite player, but this guy's hurt worse than Day.
Well, he at this point he is, which this is the one thing that you wonder with as hard as Bryson is swinging at the ball, as much as he practices. You see him, he practices till dark, which is so impressive, but Brooks Koepka, a guy that played really good golf, but is he, you only have so many shots, I think, but you only have so many shots in your life. And now it seems like Brooks can't stay healthy, but he's ranked 4. I think he's ranked 4 on the Ryder.
He is. He's 4th
so
on the
he's
Ryder Cup team. Yeah, he's in.
He made the
team.
He
made the team, but if he can't, I know he made the team, but he can't play. So then does he get an extra pick?
Does
so
Finau just immediately replace him because he's the next highest non?
Yeah, I don't know that, but okay. So you make up a good point right there. So since Finau's not an automatic qualifier, and Stricker already told him he's on the team a few weeks ago, can he rescind his pick and tell him he's not? But no, he's not. I mean, Finau's making the team. I think that this opens the door for guys like Kevin Na and Daniel Berger to make the Ryder Cup team this year. I really do, because as we talked about last week, I don't think Patrick Reed's making the team this year. I really don't.
Do we want to do this? Do we want to see do we want to pick who the 6 are? Do we want to work?
That's what I was kind of thinking. We could do a little pick, make a little pick here.
Well, who you got? Pick the Ryder Cup.
Well, who you got? Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
Edition.
Okay. A little special one-off in the postseason. Okay. All right. Look at Bernie's face. Bernie's like, I wasn't prepared.
See, he hasn't studied this. He has not studied this. This is thrown at him. So, what if we pick one guy that you might not think would be on the team that's maybe going to get picked? How's that? And we'll just judge.
All right.
We'll just judge who the best pick was. All right.
Okay, I'll go first since I'm the defending champion.
Okay.
Give me Kevin Na.
Okay.
You're next.
Yeah, I mentioned third.
Oh, okay. I'll take.
She finished last this year in this who you got thing.
I don't get the pick.
So we'll go off the chart a little bit. Jason Kokrak.
I almost went that way, actually.
I mean, how do I not? He's the guy who earned me the most points during the season of who you got. What are you shaking your head for?
Not making it.
He played really. All right, Kevin Kisner. I'm doing it now. That you go.
Yeah.
No, I know who you're picking.
You go.
I know you're picking, but he's not making the team.
So this is good. Na, Kokrak, Kisner, and if they all make it, we're geniuses. But we'll see what happens.
That's a trifecta then again.
Yeah, that could be really good.
They all make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Dahlby, let's quickly dive in. Why can't the Solheim Cup women's U.S. team beat Europe, and why can't the Ryder Cup U.S. team beat Europe when every single year they're favored to win both events, and yet they can't get it done?
Yeah, and I think has Team Europe won the Solheim Cup the last two times, or is it more? Is that a great question for somebody?
So right now Europe has won 4 of the last 6 Solheim Cups.
Oh, wow.
And 7 of the last 9 Ryder Cups. I mean, and it's if you look, I mean, and paper is paper. I get it. We talk about on paper, Alabama should beat this team by 75 points, or this should happen, and the U.S. should destroy, whatever in the Solheim Cup and the Ryder Cup. Yet the U.S. can't. I don't understand why they can't get it done, because when you look at the match, U.S., maybe Europe, U.S., and yet we get dominated. Why?
Well, and the U.S. even, and I think it was when Tom Watson was the captain the last time, and Mickelson said something that Watson wasn't a good captain. Then they went to that pod system where there's a vice captain with 2 or 3 or 4 players, and the U.S. Solheim Cup did that. Michelle Wee talked about her pod, and they played well today. But for whatever reason, Europe, even as underdogs, and maybe even going back to, I mean, there were times in the Ryder Cup years probably where Europe might have been the favorite, but they just seem to team better. And we talked about last week how, and this may be a good thing that Koepka isn't on the team, because now we don't have to worry about Koepka and DeChambeau, that feud that's going on. But the U.S. team, there were no, I watched a good bit of it today. They played well in the singles, but even that, it was 6-6. You'd think in singles, you've got the number one player in the world. You got a lot of, you've got a lot of good players. They just don't seem to team as well in these formats as Europe. And then, if it's a President's Cup year on the men's side, they just go, they go beat the hell out of the other side of the world. So that's not even fun to watch. So it is just it's a little bit baffling, and hopefully Steve Stricker can get it right this year. I think, my thought is he will, but it doesn't always make sense.
The tour, Jay Monahan has come out and said that they might potentially make a rule that if DeChambeau gets yelled Brooksy or whatever, you're out of the tournament. Which, whatever, I get it. I totally do. But the last thing I want to ask you before we end this podcast, number 9, amateur golfers in the right tee box, where do you draw the line? You see a lot of, and I'm to the point now at my age where I want to play from a shorter golf course because I want to hit 8 irons and 7 irons in the green instead of hitting hybrids, 5 woods, 3 woods, and whatever the hell, everything else. From a teaching perspective and somebody that teaches not only tour pros but amateurs, where do you draw the line on what tee boxes to hit from?
Well, and I think you make a good point. It's almost, Bernie, on a particular course. Let's say you're playing the Tuesday game, and I don't know how far everybody hits the ball, but let's say there's sort of a consensus that and you want to hit
240, 250, 260.
So if you want to hit 8 irons into those greens, right? If it's 250, would your 8 iron go 140?
Yeah, 130, 140. Okay.
130. So I mean, maybe, and maybe 250 is a good one. I don't know, but maybe it's like you start playing holes. You start playing holes off the tee that allows you, with not your best shot, but just just sort of an average one. You're going to hit one 250, you're going to hit one 200. Let's just say if 230 gives me 140, so a 370 yard par 4, if that was comfortable for your group, then play from that distance. And quite frankly, why not look at the card before you play? And there's the combo tees that people play. You make up your own golf course. It's not, make up your own things. And I know that gets hard if you're turning in scores for handicap. I understand that, but I think it's more important to enjoy the game than worry about your handicap. So, you might have to figure out, okay, if we played 6 holes off the blacks and 6 holes off the whites and 6 holes off the, you might have to try to figure that out, but it could be done. And I just think that we want to, just like, you watch the PGA Tour guys, you watch them at Eastlake this week, they're hitting wedges all day. Mm-hmm. And then like Na hit 4 iron yesterday yesterday into that, the 15th hole, the par 3 that's kind of out in the lake there. It's 200 and some yards, and he hit a 4 iron, but most of the guys were hitting 6, 7 iron. So that's a long approach shot for a tour pro. So why are we playing tees where we've got to be hitting rescue clubs into greens all day? It just makes it hard and maybe doesn't make it as fun as it should be. And honestly, maybe even in a game, it might be a more competitive game if you played up a little bit, where everybody has a chance to, hit more greens and make maybe a more pars, make a birdie or two. I think it just makes sense to be aware of where you're playing.
I 100%.
What do you? I mean, what? Yeah, I mean, and
I 100%
I don't,
agree with you.
It would be interesting to talk to maybe your dad or a USGA official about that kind of concept, because, it is maybe more, you look at, okay, you're playing this set of tees or you're playing that set of tees. But I think, move around and have fun.
As I said, 100% agree. And I like your theory there of, 6 here, 6 there, 6 there, and give, because like I said, I mean, I don't want to hit hybrid into every green. I mean, I don't. I mean, it's probably the best club in my bag because I have to hit it on every freaking hole. But yeah, I agree. All right, Dahlby.
Hey, hang on one second. I'll tell you one thing that I do, and this is kind of fun with junior golfers. To your point, I'll go out to take them on the golf course, and maybe they're I don't know, 10 years old or something, and Phoenix Country Club. So we'll go play 4, and we'll go to I might have them tee it up in the fairway, so they can hit a driver and then hit a wedge into the green. And then 5's a short par 4, so maybe I'll move up where they can try to drive the par 4. But then I might go over to 8. 8's a good par 3, 200 and some yards from the back tees. And I'll actually have juniors play from the whites or the black tees. I'll even have them do it on 2 if they're good, par 3 over the water. Everybody's going to see this in the Charles Schwab Cup coming up. But I'll have them play from the tips. So I'll be out in the fairway, and then I'll have the kids play from the tips. And I'm like, hey, hit driver. Let's see if you can make a 3 from the back tees like the pros do. And if they do that, it's fun. And that's where, there's a difference between tournament golf and having a little bit of fun on Tuesday like you are with the boys from Burrito Express.
All right, bud. Thanks. Good show. Schubert, thanks for your input. Great questions tonight. Once again, haven't heard from Sean Crespin. I think he's still part of this show, but I don't know. But I will talk next week, but have a great week.
All right. You too. Have a good one.